I can't go far tonight, unfortunately. I've injured myself. I've injured my foot. So I was competing in the Pontefract Cake Nudging World Championships, and well, the process is that you've got to try push a Pontefract cake as far as you can with a stick of rhubarb. Anyway, I fell off a table at the awards show after show party, drunk. Cheers. So this is it. This is the evening when we bring out the Durston Gear X-Mid Pro1. It's finally arrived. So I've given it a test in the back garden and everything seems to be perfect. 500 grams this thing is, it's ridiculously light. What it's done is it's allowed for a little bit more alcohol in my bag. So that's a good thing, isn't it? It is Friday night after all. So I'm out and about over the hills of Glenfruin this evening, not too far from home, and I've had to pick a place not too far from the car either because I have hurt my foot, so I'm hobbling a little bit. So it wasn't gonna, I'm aching to get out and try this tent and show you it all, and it's not raining as you can see. This foot's giving me a lot of problems. It were a good championship, I don't mind telling you, and I didn't come last. Right, I've arrived at my camping spot, so it's pretty dry. There's quite a bit of sheep pellets around, so I'm going to have to just clean the floor. But what I'm going to do now is I'll set the small camera up and capture as much of this this picture as possible, just to show this X-Mid and how it goes up and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll take you through it. So that's it, erected now. So it's I've never had any of this Dyneema Composite carbon fibre stuff. It's it feels very flimsy, but obviously it's tough as nails. So so I've got 6 heads on this, so one on each corner, and then just one below each of these door areas. Let's have a look inside. So this is it inside, and you can see plenty of headroom. I've got my sticks just to about 110, and plenty space. So nice big size pocket there at that side of the tent, and similarly exactly the same on this side of the tent, and then same with this vestibule here. You've got exactly the same vestibule at that side too. So I think, I mean, you know, this tent's been seen many times in its previous versions, and this is no different, other than the carbon fibre and a slightly smaller footprint. But I know I paid a lot of money for it, but I mean, the weight is ridiculously light, and so far so good. I mean, the proof will be in the pudding, and a few camps in different conditions. But what do you think? Pretty good, eh? So that's it with the big Agnes in. So as if this is a 25" by 72, so it's the wide pad. The inners, I mean, there's still a bit more space in there, so there's plenty of room, and headroom and feet room. I mean, that's the tent up against the end now, and you can see how much floor space there still is. There's foot space, sorry. So it's a lovely thing, isn't it? I think I would put the guys from the top, from the ridge line on as well, because there's a little bit of a sag. I might not have got it absolutely perfectly set up, because there is a tiny sag in the middle, and I think a couple of additional guys just mini carabined onto the end would be a good addition. But I can always, I mean, it isn't exactly square, so it might be me that's not set it up properly, but we can have a mess around with that now. So I put a couple of guy lines on the across the apex now, and that's a lot tighter now. I'll mess around with it. I mean, it doesn't need it. There is going to be some wind around tonight, and obviously I'm very high up and exposed. But I just think that's fantastic. I really do. It's such a huge amount of tent for the weight, and all right, it costs a lot of money, and it did, and I got absolutely walloped by duty as well. £168 to bring it into the country. You can get a good tent for that alone. So 7:30 now, and I'm still finding a little bit out about it, but the wind's really swung around 45 degrees now. So what I've started to do is just pull down a couple. I pulled a guy that I had on that apex there, and just moved it around to this side panel, and it's fixed. It was really flapping in and out, and if there had been any condensation on the inside, you know, that's when you're going to get absolutely soaked. But there shouldn't be much condensation tonight with this wind kicking around. But it's doing very well. I like all that. It's got all these little, you know, these little tie-off options and tags around the tent, which, you know, they're there for a purpose. This is one of the best developments about this tent, I think, that whilst you don't need them all, they're there for you. And with a bit of guy line and a carabiner, you can move them around the tent as the wind moves around the tent itself. So all good. So all good here now, and eaten and drank, nearly 9 o'clock. The tent is brilliant so far. Good to have the wind drop down a little bit as well. It's noisy. I bet it's absolute racket in the rain, but I bet it's enjoyable as well. One thing that I am struggling to get used to, I've got to be honest, is I can actually see the moon through the tent fly, which is a bit unnerving. I'm not used to that kind of thing. I think once you get your fly, you don't see anything, do you? So it just shows you how thin this fabric is. It's quite a remarkable fabric. So I'm done and dusted now. I'm going to relax and listen to a little bit more music, and then get some sleep, I think, definitely. And we'll pick this up in the morning, and we can have a look around at dawn, see what the condensation's like in here. I've got both vents open, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, thanks for joining me this evening. It's been great to have you along. I hope you like the new tent. I'm kind of hoping it's going to give me many years of good service. Right, to you in the morning. Morning. A reasonable night. It was very windy, and it rattled around a bit, so I had to put my earplugs on. I'm a bit bunged up this morning, so you'll have to forgive me. But there's no condensation whatsoever in the tent, which you kind of would have expected with it being high up and the vents open and the air moving through the tent, so that's good. So not a true test to see how it copes with all the condensation, and whether these little gutters work and all that kind of stuff, but I was warm enough, as there was no cold whatsoever, so that was okay, and comfortable enough. I think I'm going to think about packing this up. There's no point just laying here as much as I'd like to, so I shall pick this up when we're ready to leave camp. Yes, let's get this packed up. So that's me all packed away now, 10 to 8, and didn't bother with any breakfast, anything like that, or a cup of tea. I will get myself home and have some breakfast with Mrs. Boardman. Thank you to everybody who watched our last video as well. We hugely appreciate it. She's clearly popular. Second most popular video I put up. Everybody wants to see Mrs. Boardman. Anyway, the good news is Mrs. Boardman's done a little bit of investing, so she's planning on coming again, which is brilliant. I've had a great camp. You're going to see a lot more of the X-Mid Pro1 because it's going to be my summer go-to tent. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, you know what I mean, thumbs is upsies. And I'll just leave it there. As always, leave no trace. See you next time. Thank you again for watching. Bye bye.